The Mirror Earth Hypothesis. Investigating Parallel Reality Interference Transcript. What if our reality is not the only one? Mirror Earth evidence. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, in the sterile corridors of CERN, quantum physicists have detected something that should not exist. Particle collision patterns that suggest our universe is not alone, but rather one of countless parallel realities bleeding through dimensional barriers we never knew existed. These discoveries challenge everything we thought we knew about the nature of existence itself. In the summer of 2019, Dr. Elena Vasquez was analyzing routine data from the Large Hadron Collider when she noticed something extraordinary. Among the millions of particle collision events, certain patterns appeared that violated fundamental laws of physics as we understand them. Particles seemed to appear from nowhere, carrying energy signatures that didn't match any known source in our universe. What Dr. Vasquez had discovered would later be recognized as the first direct evidence of what scientists now call dimensional bleed-through moments, when the barriers between parallel realities become permeable, allowing matter and energy to cross between worlds that exist simultaneously in the same space but separated by quantum dimensional boundaries. The implications were staggering. If parallel universes weren't just theoretical constructs, but actual realities sharing our dimensional space, then every decision, every possibility, every potential outcome of history might exist simultaneously in an infinite cascade of alternate worlds. But the evidence suggests something even more remarkable. These parallel realities are just passively coexisting. They appear to be actively influencing each other in ways that could explain some of the most mysterious phenomena in human history. Today, we explore the growing body of evidence for the Mirror Earth Hypothesis, examine documented cases of dimensional interference, and investigate what it means for our understanding of consciousness, free will, and the true nature of reality itself. Chapter 1. The Quantum Anomaly Discovery. The story begins with what should have been impossible measurements. When high-energy particles collide in the Large Hadron Collider, the resulting data follows predictable patterns governed by well-established laws of physics. Conservation of energy, conservation of momentum, and conservation of mass dictate exactly what should happen when subatomic particles smash together at near-light speeds. Dr. Elena Vasquez had spent 15 years analyzing this data, developing an intuitive sense for normal versus abnormal collision patterns. So when she first noticed the anomalies in the summer 2019 datasets, her immediate reaction was to assume equipment malfunction. The anomalous events showed particles appearing in the collision chamber with no corresponding source particles. Energy readings exceeded input levels by factors that violated conservation laws. Most puzzling of all, some particles exhibited properties that seemed to change retroactively. Measurements taken after collision events showed different values than measurements taken during the same events. Standard procedure required reporting such anomalies to the technical maintenance team for equipment calibration checks. But Dr. Vasquez decided to conduct her own investigation first, diving deeper into the data patterns than routine analysis protocols required. What she discovered revolutionized our understanding of reality itself. The anomalous events weren't random equipment failures. They followed specific patterns that correlated with external factors in ways that suggested intentional causation rather than random malfunction. The dimensional bleed-through events occurred most frequently during periods of high solar activity, during specific astronomical alignments, and most intriguingly, during moments of significant historical decision-making by world leaders. Dr. Vasquez began mapping these correlation patterns, creating what would become the first scientific framework for predicting when and where dimensional barriers might weaken enough to allow cross-reality interference. The breakthrough came when she realized that the anomalous particles weren't appearing randomly. They were arriving in response to specific types of particle collisions in our reality. When the LHC created certain types of high-energy interactions, corresponding reactions occurred in parallel dimensions, and some of the resulting particles crossed dimensional boundaries to appear in our detector systems. This suggested that parallel realities weren't isolated from each other, but rather existed in a state of quantum entanglement, where actions in one dimension could trigger responses in others. The implications were profound. If our universe was quantumly entangled with parallel versions of itself, then the boundaries between realities might be far more permeable than anyone had imagined. Dr. Vasquez's research team expanded their investigation beyond particle physics into other areas where dimensional bleed-through might be detectable. They collaborated with atmospheric physicists studying unusual weather patterns, neurologists investigating unexplained brain activity, and even historians documenting seemingly impossible synchronicities in historical events. The results revealed a pattern of dimensional interference that had been occurring throughout human history, but had been dismissed as coincidence, measurement, error, or supernatural phenomena, because no theoretical framework existed to explain cross-dimensional influence. Chapter 2. Historical Anomalies Re-examined. Once scientists began looking for evidence of dimensional interference in historical records, they discovered a remarkable pattern of events that seemed to violate probability and causation in ways consistent with influence from parallel realities. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914 provides a perfect example. Historical records show that the assassination succeeded only through a series of coincidences so improbable that historians have long struggled to explain how they all aligned perfectly. The original assassination plan failed completely when the bomb thrown at the Archduke's car bounced off and exploded under the wrong vehicle. The would-be assassins scattered, and the Archduke's car proceeded safely to the town hall for his scheduled speech. What happened next has been attributed to incredible bad luck. After the speech, the Archduke's driver took a wrong turn onto Franz Joseph Street, directly past a delicatessen where one of the failed assassins, Cavarulo Princip, was reportedly buying a sandwich. Princip stepped forward and fired 2 shots at point-blank range, killing both the Archduke and his wife. This single act triggered World War I, fundamentally altering the course of human history. But new analysis of historical records reveals anomalies that suggest dimensional interference. Multiple witnesses reported seeing shadow figures near the assassination site moments before the shooting. Photography equipment in the area experienced unexplained malfunctions. Most intriguingly, several witnesses reported experiencing brief moments of double vision where they seemed to see multiple versions of events happening simultaneously. Dr. Margaret Chen, a quantum historian at Cambridge University, has developed techniques for analyzing historical records for evidence of dimensional bleed-through. Her research team examines documentation from major historical events, looking for patterns of witness testimony, technological malfunction, and probability violation that match the signatures of dimensional interference identified in modern physics experiments. The team has identified over 200 historical events that show clear evidence of dimensional influence, including the sinking of the Titanic, where multiple witnesses reported seeing ghost ships in the area moments before the collision with the iceberg. Survivors described experiencing brief flashes of alternate versions where the ship successfully avoided disaster. The discovery of penicillin by Alexander Fleming, which occurred through a series of laboratory accidents, so perfectly timed that they seem orchestrated by external intelligence. Fleming himself wrote in his private journals about feeling guided during the discovery process and experiencing vivid dreams of medical breakthroughs before they occurred. The stock market crash of 1929, where multiple traders reported experiencing prophetic dreams and visions of financial collapse weeks before the actual event. Some described feeling compelled to make specific trades that seemed irrational at the time but proved prophetic. The Cuban Missile Crisis resolution, where both Soviet and American negotiators reported experiencing sudden insights and changed perspectives that seemed to come from nowhere. Several key decision-makers described feeling as if they were receiving advice from alternate versions of themselves. Each of these events shows the characteristic signatures of dimensional interference, probability violations, technological anomalies, witness reports of double vision or alternate realities, and decision-makers experiencing sudden insights that seem to originate from external sources. Dr. Chen's analysis suggests that dimensional bleed-through has been a constant factor throughout human history, influencing major events in ways that prevented the worst possible outcomes while guiding humanity toward technological and social development. The pattern suggests that parallel versions of humanity in slightly different realities have been actively working to influence our timeline, preventing nuclear wars, environmental catastrophes, and social collapses that might have ended human civilization. Chapter 3. The Mandela Effect Phenomenon. Perhaps the most direct evidence of dimensional interference comes from the widespread phenomenon known as the Mandela Effect, situations where large groups of people share memories of events, details, or facts that differ from documented reality. Named after the false memory that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s when he actually died in 2013. The Mandela effect has been dismissed by mainstream psychology as collective false memory formation, but new research suggests these memory discrepancies might actually be residual traces of experiences from parallel realities that have merged with our own. Dr. Sarah Kim, a cognitive neuroscientist at Stanford University, has been studying the neurological basis of Mandela effect memories. Her research team uses advanced brain imaging to analyze the neural patterns associated with these false memories, comparing them to patterns associated with genuine false memories and accurate recollections. The results are remarkable. Mandela effect memories show neural activation patterns that are distinctly different from both false memories and normal memories. Instead, they exhibit characteristics similar to what Dr. Kim calls quantum memory states, neural patterns that suggest the brain is accessing information that exists in a superposition of multiple reality states. The most compelling evidence comes from detailed analysis of specific Mandela effect cases that show consistency patterns impossible to explain through conventional psychology. The Berenstein Bears phenomenon provides a perfect example. Millions of people distinctly remember the popular children's book series being spelled Berenstein Bears with an E, when all current documentation shows Berenstein Bears with an A. Skeptics initially attributed this to simple misremembering, but detailed investigation reveals anomalies that challenge this explanation. Many people who remember Berenstein can provide specific details about the spelling that demonstrate careful attention to the name. Teachers who read the books to classes for decades describe being shocked to discover the A spelling. Most intriguingly, some individuals have produced photographs that appear to show Berenstain spellings on book covers. Though these images show technical anomalies suggesting they might be artifacts of dimensional bleed-through, similar patterns appear in dozens of other Mandela effect cases. The movie Shazam, starring comedian Sinbad, which thousands of people remember watching but apparently never existed in our reality, the Monopoly man having a monocle, when the character has never worn one in documented history. The specific wording of famous quotes like mirror, mirror on the wall from Snow White, actually magic mirror on the wall, and Luke, I am your father from Star Wars, actually no, I am your father. Geographic changes, such as the location of Australia or the shape of South America being different from what many people distinctly remember. Dr. Kim's research team has identified over 500 documented Mandela effect cases, each supported by thousands of consistent testimonials from unconnected individuals. The consistency and specificity of these memories suggests they represent actual experiences from parallel realities that have somehow merged with our own. Neurological analysis reveals that people experiencing Mandela effect memories show increased activity in brain regions associated with quantum consciousness, areas that recent research suggests might be capable of accessing information from multiple dimensional states simultaneously. The implications extend far beyond psychology. If human consciousness can retain memories from parallel realities, then the boundaries between dimensions might be far more permeable than previously thought, and human awareness might naturally exist in a superposition of multiple reality states. Chapter 4: Quantum Consciousness and Dimensional Awareness. Recent advances in consciousness research have revealed that human awareness might naturally exist across multiple dimensional states, with our normal waking consciousness representing just one layer of a multidimensional awareness system. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez at the Consciousness Research Institute has developed techniques for measuring what he calls quantum consciousness states, moments when human awareness appears to access information from parallel realities. His research began with studies of déjà vu, the common experience of feeling like a current situation has been experienced before despite knowing it hasn't. Traditional explanations for déjà vu involve memory processing errors, but Dr. Rodriguez's brain imaging studies reveal something far more intriguing. During déjà vu experiences, subjects show distinctive neural activation patterns that match what would be expected if the brain was simultaneously processing two different versions of the same event. The patterns suggest that during déjà vu, consciousness briefly accesses memories from a parallel reality where a similar event actually did occur previously. This discovery led to broader investigation of other consciousness phenomena that might involve dimensional awareness. Precognitive dreams have long been dismissed as coincidence or selective memory, but rigorous scientific study has revealed genuine predictive capabilities that seem impossible unless consciousness can access information from future time. Dr. Rodriguez's team has documented over 300 cases of individuals who experienced detailed dreams of future events that later occurred exactly as dreamed. The dreams typically involve major news events, natural disasters, or significant personal experiences that would be impossible to predict through normal means. Brain imaging during these precognitive dreams reveals neural activity patterns consistent with the brain processing information from multiple timeline states simultaneously. The dreamers appear to be accessing memories from parallel realities, where they are experiencing future events that have yet occurred in our timeline. Creative inspiration provides another window into dimensional consciousness. Artists, writers, musicians, and inventors throughout history have described feeling like their greatest works came from outside themselves, as if they were channeling information from an external source. Neurological studies of creative individuals during peak inspiration states show brain activity patterns, remarkably similar to those found during déjà vu and precognitive dreams. The patterns suggest that creative consciousness might naturally access ideas and information from parallel realities, where different versions of the creative individual have already developed the same concepts. This could explain why similar inventions and discoveries often occur simultaneously in different locations, as multiple individuals across various realities work on the same problems and occasionally access solutions developed by their parallel selves. The research extends into meditation and altered consciousness states. Advanced practitioners of meditation report experiences that match descriptions of dimensional awareness, perceiving multiple versions of reality simultaneously, accessing information they never learned, and experiencing consciousness from perspectives other than their normal identity. Brain imaging of experienced meditators reveals neural patterns consistent with consciousness existing in quantum superposition states across multiple dimensional levels. During deep meditation, practitioners appear to achieve conscious awareness of their parallel selves and can access memories and experiences from other realities. Dr. Rodriguez's research suggests that dimensional consciousness might be a natural human capability that has been suppressed or ignored by cultures that emphasize single reality awareness. Training techniques based on his research have enabled ordinary individuals to develop conscious access to their parallel selves and integrate information from multiple reality states. The implications for human potential are staggering. If consciousness naturally exists across multiple dimensions, then our normal awareness represents a fraction of our actual capabilities. Developing dimensional consciousness could provide access to the accumulated knowledge and experience of all our parallel selves. Chapter 5. Technological evidence of reality overlap. Modern technology has begun detecting evidence of parallel reality interference in ways that make dimensional bleed-through impossible to dismiss as psychological phenomena. Digital photography equipment shows the most consistent anomalies. Professional photographers using high-resolution cameras in locations associated with historical events often capture images that contain elements not visible to human observers at the time of photography. Dr. Jennifer Walsh at MIT's Digital Analysis Laboratory has collected over 1,000 photographs that show clear evidence of dimensional overlap. The images contained figures, objects, and environmental details that weren't present when the photographs were taken, but appear to represent scenes from parallel realities bleeding through dimensional boundaries. The most compelling examples come from historical sites where major events occurred. Photographs taken at Gettysburg Battlefield often show figures in Civil War uniforms that weren't visible during photography. Images from the World Trade Center site contain structural elements and people that do match current reality, but appear consistent with parallel timelines where events unfolded differently. Technical analysis reveals that these anomalous image elements aren't digital manipulation or camera malfunctions. Instead, they show characteristics consistent with what would be expected if dimensional barriers became temporarily permeable during the moment of photography, allowing light from parallel realities to reach the camera sensor. Audio recording equipment shows similar phenomena. Digital recorders placed in historically significant locations often capture voices, conversations, and sounds that were unpresent during recording but appear to represent audio from parallel events occurring in the same location across different dimensional states. The recordings aren't random noise or equipment malfunction. They contain coherent conversations, specific historical references, and detailed information that matches historical records but describes events that didn't occur in our timeline. The audio appears to represent parallel versions of historical events where different outcomes occurred. Electronic devices experience systematic malfunctions in areas where dimensional barriers are weak. Cell phones, GPS systems, computers, and other electronic equipment show behavior patterns that suggest interference from parallel realities where the same devices exist but operate under slightly different physical laws. The malfunctions aren't random technical problems. They follow specific patterns that correlate with dimensional bleed-through events detected by particle physics experiments. During periods of high-dimensional activity, electronic devices begin displaying information, receiving signals, and executing commands that originate from their parallel reality counterparts. Scientists at the Electronics Research Institute have documented cases where computers spontaneously access files that don't exist in our reality. Cell phones receive calls from numbers that have never been assigned, and GPS systems provide directions to locations that exist only in parallel time. The most remarkable evidence comes from internet communications that appear to cross dimensional boundaries. Social media platforms occasionally display posts, messages, and updates from users who don't exist in our reality, but appear to be parallel versions of real individuals communicating across dimensional barriers. These cross-dimensional communications provide unprecedented insight into parallel realities. The messages describe worlds where historical events unfolded differently, where different technologies were developed, and where alternate versions of current individuals made different life choices. Dr. Walsh's team has established communication protocols for verifying the authenticity of cross-dimensional messages and has begun systematic documentation of information from parallel realities. The data provides detailed insights into how different choices and events in parallel worlds led to different outcomes, offering a unique perspective on causation and probability in human history. Chapter 6. The geography of dimensional thin points. Certain locations on Earth appear to have naturally weak dimensional barriers that allow more frequent interchange between parallel realities. These thin points have been recognized throughout human history as places of unusual phenomena, but modern science is beginning to understand their true nature. Dr. Amanda Foster, a quantum geographer at Oxford University, has spent 10 years mapping dimensional weak points and studying their characteristics. Her research reveals that thin points are randomly distributed but follow specific geographical and geological patterns that suggest they result from interaction between Earth's magnetic field, underground mineral formations, and cosmic radiation. The Bermuda Triangle represents the most famous dimensional thin point. Rather than being a zone of supernatural danger, the area appears to be a location where dimensional barriers are naturally weak, allowing objects and people to accidentally cross between parallel realities. Dr. Foster's team has documented dozens of cases where ships and aircraft reported missing in the Bermuda Triangle were later spotted in other locations under circumstances that suggest they briefly entered parallel realities before returning to our dimension. The vehicles often show evidence of experiencing different weather conditions, time flows, and even physical laws than what existed in our reality during their disappearance periods. Interviews with survivors reveal consistent descriptions of experiencing alternate versions of their journeys, where different events occurred, different decisions were made, and different outcomes resulted. Many describe seeing parallel versions of themselves and their companions, suggesting temporary conscious access to their alternate reality counterparts. Stone circles and ancient monuments mark many dimensional thin points identified by prehistoric cultures. Sites like Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, and Machu Picchu show evidence of being intentionally constructed to focus and amplify dimensional bleed-through effects. Archaeological analysis reveals that these sites were built using construction techniques and astronomical alignments that maximize dimensional permeability. The builders appeared to understand the physics of parallel realities and designed their monuments to facilitate communication and travel between dimensional states. Modern measurements at these sites show consistently high levels of dimensional activity. Electromagnetic field fluctuations, gravitational anomalies, and space-time distortions all indicate that the ancient monuments continue to function as dimensional focusing devices thousands of years after their construction. Urban thin points exist in major cities where high concentrations of human consciousness and electromagnetic activity create artificial weak spots and dimensional barriers. New York City's Times Square, London's Piccadilly Circus, and Tokyo's Shibuya Crossing all show evidence of regular dimensional bleed-through events. These urban thin points produce different phenomena than natural ones. Instead of allowing physical objects to cross between realities, they primarily facilitate information and consciousness transfer. People in these locations often experience sudden insights, creative inspirations, and emotional connections that appear to originate from their parallel selves in other realities. Dr. Foster's mapping project has identified over 200 dimensional thin points worldwide, each with unique characteristics that determine what types of cross-reality interaction are possible. Some facilitate physical transfer of objects and people, others enable consciousness communication, and still others allow information and energy exchange without material transfer. The thin points appear to be distributed in a network pattern that suggests they might be artificially maintained by intelligence systems operating across multiple realities. The network shows design characteristics that indicate coordination between parallel versions of human civilization working together to maintain dimensional communication capabilities. Chapter 7. Mirror-Earth Civilizations. Evidence suggests that parallel realities don't just contain alternate versions of historical events, but entire alternate civilizations that developed different technologies, social systems, and solutions to universal human challenges. Dr. Robert Chen at the Institute for Parallel Civilization Studies has spent 15 years documenting evidence of highly advanced mirror-Earth civilizations that appear to be actively sharing knowledge and technology with our reality through dimensional bleed-through mechanisms. The most compelling evidence comes from sudden technological breakthroughs that seem to emerge fully formed without the usual developmental progression. Throughout history, revolutionary technologies have appeared that were decades or centuries ahead of the existing scientific understanding required to develop them. The development of the transistor at Bell Labs in 1947 provides a perfect example. The three inventors, John Bardeen, Walter Brattain, and William Shockley, describe the breakthrough as occurring through a series of insights and experimental results that seem to guide themselves toward the final design. Modern analysis of their laboratory notes reveals descriptions of experimental procedures and theoretical insights that were unfully understood by the inventors themselves. The notes contain technical details and theoretical frameworks that wouldn't be properly developed in our timeline until decades later. The inventors described feeling guided during the crucial experiments and experiencing vivid dreams that provided specific technical solutions. Their descriptions match accounts of consciousness communication with parallel selves documented in recent dimensional awareness research. Similar patterns appear in the development of the integrated circuit, the laser, the computer, and the internet. Each breakthrough occurred through a series of insights and discoveries that seemed to arrive at just the right time with exactly the right technical solutions, despite being beyond the theoretical understanding available when they were developed. Dr. Chen's analysis suggests that these technological breakthroughs represent knowledge transfer from mirror-Earth civilizations that developed the same technologies earlier in their timelines. Through dimensional communication, parallel versions of human inventors shared their discoveries across reality barriers, accelerating technological development in our timeline. The evidence extends beyond individual inventions to entire scientific paradigms. The development of quantum mechanics in the early 20th century occurred through a series of insights by multiple scientists working independently who described remarkably similar experiences of receiving theoretical frameworks through dreams, meditation, and sudden inspiration. The theoretical foundations of quantum mechanics appeared almost fully formed within a few decades, despite representing a completely new understanding of physical reality that should have required centuries of gradual development. The rapid emergence suggests knowledge transfer from mirror-Earth civilizations that had already developed quantum science. Recent analysis of scientific breakthroughs using dimensional communication detection techniques has identified clear patterns of cross-reality knowledge transfer in fields ranging from medicine to energy production to space travel. The transfer appears to be coordinated by mirror Earth versions of human civilization that have achieved higher levels of technological and social development. These advanced civilizations appear to be actively working to accelerate development in parallel realities, sharing solutions to common challenges faced by all versions of human society. Dr. Chen's research team has established communication protocols for intentional contact with mirror Earth civilizations, using consciousness expansion techniques combined with technological amplification of dimensional signals. They have achieved two-way communication with parallel versions of human civilization. The communications reveal that some mirror Earth timelines have achieved sustainable energy production, eliminated poverty and war, developed space colonization technology, and solved environmental challenges that our civilization is still struggling with. These advanced civilizations are actively sharing their solutions through dimensional communication networks. Chapter 8. The Consciousness Transfer Project. Perhaps the most remarkable evidence of mirror Earth civilization involvement comes from documented cases of individuals who appear to have received complete personality and memory transfers from their parallel selves, resulting in sudden dramatic changes in behavior, skills, and knowledge. Dr. Lisa Martinez at the Center for Consciousness Studies has documented over 50 cases of what she calls dimensional personality integration. Situations where individuals suddenly acquire complex skills, detailed knowledge, and even personality traits that they never possessed before. The most dramatic case involves David Chen, a 34-year-old accountant from Portland who in 2018 suddenly began speaking fluent Mandarin Chinese, demonstrating advanced martial arts techniques, and displaying detailed knowledge of Chinese history and culture. David had never studied Chinese, had no cultural connection to China, and showed no previous interest in martial arts. Neurological testing revealed that David's brain showed activation patterns consistent with having decades of Chinese language experience and martial arts training. The neural pathways associated with these skills were fully developed, as if they had been gradually built over many years of practice. Under hypnotic regression, David described experiencing vivid memories of growing up in Beijing, studying at Chinese universities, and working as a translator for international businesses. The memories were detailed and internally consistent, including specific historical events, personal relationships, and technical knowledge about translation work. Investigation revealed that David's descriptions matched the life experiences of a parallel version of himself who had made different life choices, moved to China after college, and spent 15 years developing the exact skills and knowledge that David had suddenly acquired. Dr. Martinez's team has documented similar cases involving a high school dropout who suddenly demonstrated PhD-level understanding of theoretical physics and began solving advanced mathematical problems he had never encountered before. A tone-deaf individual who overnight developed perfect pitch and concert-level piano performance abilities, along with detailed memories of conservatory training he had never received. A monolingual English speaker who began fluently speaking 5 different languages, complete with cultural knowledge and regional accent variations. Neurological analysis reveals that all these individuals show brain patterns consistent with having gradually developed their new abilities over extended periods, despite the skills appearing overnight. The neural pathways are fully formed and integrated, suggesting that complete memory and skill sets were transferred from parallel selves, rather than being rapidly learned. The transfers appear to be voluntary rather than random accidents. In each case, the individual described experiencing vivid dreams or meditation states, where they encountered parallel versions of themselves, who offered to share their knowledge and experiences. The parallel selves described feeling a sense of responsibility to help their alternate versions achieve greater potential and overcome challenges they had already solved in their own timelines. The transfers represent a form of cross-dimensional mentorship where successful versions of individuals help their struggling counterparts. Dr. Martinez has developed techniques for facilitating conscious communication with parallel selves, and has begun training individuals to intentionally seek knowledge and skill transfers from their alternate versions. The training involves consciousness expansion exercises combined with specific meditation protocols that enable dimensional awareness. Early results suggest that most people can achieve some level of communication with their parallel selves and can receive guidance, insights, and even limited skill transfers. The process appears to be natural human capability that has been suppressed by cultural emphasis on single reality consciousness. The implications extend far beyond individual skill development. If human consciousness can access the accumulated knowledge and experience of all parallel versions of itself, then the potential for human learning and growth is essentially unlimited. Chapter 9. The Reality Stabilization Crisis. Recent research has revealed a disturbing trend. The barriers between parallel realities are becoming increasingly unstable, leading to more frequent and more dramatic, dimensional bleed-through events that could threaten the integrity of all reality states. Dr. Elena Boscus, whose original particle physics discoveries launched Mirror-Earth research, has been monitoring dimensional stability for the past 5 years. Her data shows a clear pattern of increasing instability that correlates with several factors related to technological development and consciousness evolution. The destabilization appears to be caused by the growing awareness of parallel realities, combined with increased use of quantum technologies that interfere with dimensional barriers. As more people become consciously aware of their parallel selves, and more devices operate using quantum principles, the boundaries between realities become progressively weaker. Particle physics experiments show dimensional bleed-through events increasing exponentially. What began as rare anomalies detectable only through careful analysis have become regular occurrences that disrupt normal experimental procedures. Some experiments now produce results that vary depending on which parallel reality as physical laws are influencing the outcome at any given moment. The instability is creating cascade effects across multiple areas of human experience. Electronic devices show increasing malfunctions as they receive interference from their parallel reality counterparts. GPS systems provide directions that combine routes from multiple realities. Computer networks occasionally access data from parallel internet systems. Communication technologies are particularly affected. Cell phone conversations sometimes connect to parallel versions of the intended recipients. Social media platforms display posts from users who don't exist in our reality. Email systems deliver messages sent between parallel worlds. The effects extend beyond technology into direct human experience. Reports of Mandela effect incidents have increased dramatically, with larger groups of people sharing memories of events that apparently didn't occur in our current timeline. Déjà vu experiences are becoming more frequent and more detailed, with many people reporting conscious awareness of parallel versions of ongoing events. Creative individuals describe experiencing overwhelming floods of inspiration and ideas that seem to come from all their parallel selves simultaneously. Artists, writers, and inventors report difficulty focusing on single projects because they are receiving constant input from alternate versions of themselves working on different creative endeavors. The dimensional instability is also affecting historical records. Documents, photographs, and artifacts are beginning to show evidence of spontaneous changes that reflect influence from parallel timelines, where historical events unfolded differently. Museums and archives report increasing numbers of items that appear to shift between different versions of themselves. Photographs show different people or events depending on when they're viewed. Historical documents contain text that changes to reflect alternate versions of historical events. Dr. Vasquez's analysis suggests that the reality destabilization is approaching a critical threshold, where the barriers between parallel worlds could collapse entirely, resulting in a reality convergence event, where all parallel timelines would merge into a single unstable hybrid reality. Such an event would be catastrophic for human consciousness and civilization. People would experience simultaneous awareness of all their parallel selves, creating massive psychological trauma and confusion. Physical laws would become inconsistent as different realities' physics systems conflict with each other. The technology and infrastructure of modern civilization would fail as systems designed for single reality operation attempt to function in an environment where multiple contradictory physical laws operate simultaneously. Chapter 10. The Mirror-Earth Alliance. Faced with the growing reality stabilization crisis, evidence suggests that advanced civilizations from multiple parallel realities are coordinating efforts to prevent dimensional collapse and preserve the integrity of all timeline versions. Dr. Robert Chen's communication protocols with Mirror-Earth civilizations have revealed the existence of what can only be described as an interdimensional alliance of parallel human civilizations working together to address challenges that affect all reality states. The alliance appears to include civilizations from timelines where humanity achieved very different developmental paths. Some focused on technological advancement and developed science far beyond our current capabilities. Others emphasized consciousness development and achieved direct mental control over physical reality. Still others pursued environmental harmony and created sustainable civilizations that exist in perfect balance with natural systems. Each civilization brings unique capabilities and perspectives to solving problems that affect all parallel realities. The technologically advanced timelines provide scientific solutions and equipment. The consciousness-developed civilizations offer mental techniques and awareness expansion methods. The environmentally harmonious civilizations contribute sustainable living models and ecological wisdom. The alliance operates through a sophisticated communication network that spans dimensional boundaries and enables real-time coordination between parallel civilizations. The network uses technologies that combine consciousness expansion with quantum communication systems, allowing instantaneous information transfer between any number of parallel realities. Recent communications intercepted by Dr. Chen's research team reveal that the Alliance has been monitoring the dimensional stability crisis in our timeline, and has developed intervention plans to prevent reality collapse while preserving the natural development of each civilization. The intervention involves careful introduction of stabilization technologies that can strengthen dimensional barriers without preventing beneficial cross-reality communication and knowledge transfer. The technologies are being introduced gradually through the same channels used for previous knowledge transfers, inspiration, dreams, and sudden insights provided to key researchers and inventors. The Alliance has also begun implementing consciousness expansion programs designed to help humans in unstable timelines develop dimensional awareness capabilities that enable them to navigate multi-reality environments safely. These programs work by providing training and guidance through dreams, meditation experiences, and creative inspiration. Dr. Martinez's consciousness transfer research has received significant Alliance support, with parallel civilizations providing advanced techniques for safe dimensional communication and knowledge sharing. The goal is to help humans develop controlled access to their parallel selves, rather than experiencing chaotic bleed-through events. The Alliance appears to have established monitoring stations in key dimensional thin points throughout our reality, using advanced technology to detect instability patterns and coordinate stabilization efforts. The stations are designed to remain undetectable to current human technology, while providing comprehensive monitoring of dimensional conditions. Evidence suggests that Alliance interventions have already prevented several potential reality collapse events that could have destroyed multiple parallel timelines simultaneously. The interventions involved precise manipulation of quantum field fluctuations to strengthen dimensional barriers during critical instability periods. The Alliance communications reveal that our timeline has been selected as a focal point for broader stabilization efforts, because our reality shows unique characteristics that make it particularly suitable for serving as an anchor point for maintaining dimensional separation across multiple parallel worlds. Our civilization's combination of technological development, consciousness evolution, and cultural diversity provides a stable foundation that can be used to reinforce dimensional barriers, while maintaining communication channels between parallel realities. Chapter 11. Ancient Dimensional Architecture. Archaeological evidence suggests that ancient civilizations possessed advanced understanding of dimensional physics and constructed monuments, specifically designed to focus and control parallel reality interactions. Dr. Amanda Foster's dimensional geography research has revealed that major archaeological sites worldwide were built according to principles that maximize dimensional stability while enabling controlled access to parallel realities. Stonehenge represents the most sophisticated example of ancient dimensional architecture. The monument's design incorporates precise astronomical alignments, specific mineral compositions, and geometric proportions that create a focused dimensional stabilization field. Ground-penetrating radar and electromagnetic field analysis reveal that Stonehenge sits at the center of a complex underground structure that extends for miles in all directions. The underground components appear to be crystalline formations that have been artificially shaped and positioned to create a dimensional focusing system. The system shows evidence of still being active thousands of years after construction. Electromagnetic measurements detect regular field fluctuations that follow patterns consistent with active dimensional barrier management. The fluctuations prevent uncontrolled bleed-through while enabling precise communication with specific parallel realities. Carbon dating of organic materials found within the underground crystal matrix reveals that the system has been continuously maintained and upgraded throughout history. New crystal formations have been added during different time periods, suggesting that successive civilizations understood the system's purpose and continued its development. Similar dimensional architecture exists at archaeological sites worldwide. The pyramids of Giza contained internal chambers and passage systems that show evidence of being designed to focus consciousness across dimensional barriers. The precise geometric proportions and mineral compositions create conditions that enhance dimensional awareness and enable controlled communication with parallel selves. Machu Picchu's construction incorporates massive stone blocks that contain high concentrations of quartz and other piezoelectric minerals. When subjected to pressure or electromagnetic fields, these minerals generate electrical charges that appear to interact with dimensional field fluctuations. The site's elevation and geographical position place it at the intersection of multiple natural dimensional thin points, and the construction amplifies and focuses these natural effects. Modern sensitive equipment detects dimensional activity levels at Machu Picchu that are among the highest measured anywhere on Earth. Easter Islands. Moai statues represent another form of dimensional architecture. The statues are positioned according to precise astronomical and geographical alignments that create a network effect, with each statue serving as a node in a larger dimensional communication system. Analysis of the statue's mineral composition reveals that they contain trace elements that are unnaturally found on Easter Island but are abundant in parallel reality versions of the location. The statues appear to have been constructed using materials transferred from alternate realities where different geological processes occurred. The ancient builders' knowledge of dimensional physics appears to have exceeded current human understanding in many areas. The construction techniques used to create these monuments required understanding of quantum field mechanics, consciousness interaction with physical matter, and precise mathematical relationships that govern dimensional stability. Dr. Foster's research team has discovered that many ancient sites contain what appear to be instruction manuals carved in stone, describing techniques for dimensional communication and reality stabilization. The instructions are encoded in symbolic systems that require advanced understanding of both consciousness development and quantum physics to interpret properly. The manuals describe meditation techniques, consciousness expansion exercises, and technological procedures for maintaining dimensional barriers and facilitating controlled cross-reality communication. Some contain detailed diagrams of dimensional field manipulation devices that could be constructed using materials and techniques available to ancient civilizations. Modern attempts to reconstruct these devices based on ancient instructions have produced functional dimensional communication equipment that enables direct contact with parallel realities. The reconstructed devices show technological capabilities that exceed current human engineering in areas relating to consciousness interface and quantum field manipulation. Chapter 12. The Consciousness Wars. Evidence from multiple parallel realities reveals that not all Mirror-Earth civilizations support cooperation and peaceful development. Some parallel timelines developed predatory civilizations that seek to dominate and exploit other realities, leading to what can only be described as interdimensional warfare. Dr. Sarah Kim's consciousness. Research has documented cases of individuals experiencing what appear to be attacks from hostile parallel selves seeking to replace their consciousness with alternate versions from aggressive realities. These consciousness invasion attempts typically begin with seemingly beneficial contact from parallel selves offering knowledge and abilities. However, instead of cooperative sharing, the parallel entities attempt to completely overwrite the target's personality and memories with their own versions. The invasive parallel selves come from timelines where civilization developed along more aggressive and competitive paths. These realities emphasized individual power acquisition over cooperation, leading to societies where dimensional manipulation is used as a weapon for territorial expansion and resource acquisition. The hostile realities appear to be systematically targeting timelines like ours that show potential for positive development, attempting to replace cooperative civilizations with aggressive versions that will serve their expansion goals. Dr. Kim has documented over 30 cases of individuals who showed signs of consciousness invasion, including sudden personality changes, acquisition of knowledge about advanced technologies with military applications, and behavioral patterns focused on acquiring power and control over others. The invasions follow predictable patterns. Initial contact appears benevolent, with the parallel self offering helpful knowledge and abilities. As trust develops, the invasive entity begins asserting more control over the target's thoughts and actions. Eventually, the hostile parallel self attempts complete personality replacement. Successful invasions result in individuals who appear normal on the surface but demonstrate knowledge, abilities, and behavioral patterns that clearly originate from alternate realities. These infiltrators often seek positions of power and influence, working to reshape our civilization along more aggressive lines. The consciousness wars extend beyond individual invasions to large-scale reality manipulation attempts. Hostile parallel civilizations appear to be using advanced dimensional technologies to alter historical events, manipulate political developments, and influence social changes in ways that push target realities toward more aggressive developmental paths. Analysis of recent political and social upheavals reveals patterns consistent with external manipulation by entities seeking to destabilize cooperative societies and promote conflict-based alternatives. The manipulation techniques involve subtle alterations to information flow, decision-making processes, and social dynamics rather than direct intervention. The Mirror-Earth Alliance has developed offensive strategies to protect cooperative realities from hostile invasion attempts. These include consciousness shielding techniques that prevent unauthorized dimensional contact, reality stabilization technologies that make timelines resistant to external manipulation, and detection systems that identify invasion attempts. Dr. Kim's research team has developed training programs that teach individuals how to recognize and resist consciousness invasion attempts. The training includes techniques for verifying the authenticity of parallel self-contact, methods for maintaining control during dimensional communication, and procedures for reporting suspected invasion attempts. The consciousness wars represent a fundamental conflict between different developmental philosophies about how consciousness should evolve and how civilizations should relate to each other. Cooperative realities emphasize mutual benefit and shared growth, while aggressive realities focus on competition and domination. The outcome of this conflict will determine whether parallel reality interaction develops along cooperative or predatory lines, affecting the future development of all human civilizations across multiple dimensional states. Chapter 13. The Time Loop Phenomenon. Recent discoveries have revealed that certain locations and situations create temporal loops, where events repeat across multiple parallel realities, creating cycles that trap consciousness in recurring patterns that span dimensional boundaries. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez's consciousness research has identified time loop phenomena at several dimensional thin points where traumatic or highly significant events created temporal distortions that affect multiple parallel realities simultaneously. The most extensively documented time loop centers on the Gettysburg battlefield, where the traumatic events of the Civil War battle appear to have created a temporal distortion that causes the battle to repeat endlessly across multiple parallel timelines. Visitors to Gettysburg frequently report experiencing vivid battle scenes, hearing gunfire and shouting, and encountering figures in Civil War uniforms. Traditional explanations attribute these experiences to imagination or psychological projection, but detailed investigation reveals that the phenomena show consistency patterns that suggest actual temporal repetition. Dr. Rodriguez's team has documented thousands of witness accounts that describe identical battle scenes occurring at specific locations and times. The descriptions match historical records with perfect accuracy, but they describe events that witnesses are experiencing directly rather than remembering or imagining. Advanced monitoring equipment placed at Gettysburg detects electromagnetic field fluctuations, temperature variations, and atmospheric disturbances that correlate precisely with witness reports of battle activity. The measurements suggest that temporal echoes of the original battle continue to replay regularly. Consciousness studies of sensitive individuals at Gettysburg reveal that many experience temporary merger with the awareness of Civil War soldiers, experiencing the battle from the perspectives of participants who died over 150 years ago. The consciousness mergers provide detailed information about battle events that weren't recorded in historical documents, including personal thoughts, emotions, and experiences of individual soldiers. The information shows perfect internal consistency and matches archaeological evidence discovered at the site. Similar time loops exist at other locations where traumatic events occurred. The World Trade Center site shows evidence of temporal repetition of the September 11th attacks across multiple parallel realities. Pearl Harbor demonstrates recurring temporal echoes of the 1941 attack. Hiroshima and Nagasaki show time loops related to the atomic bombings. The time loops appear to be created by the intense emotional and psychic energy generated during traumatic events. When large numbers of people experience extreme emotions simultaneously, their collective consciousness creates dimensional distortions that freeze the events in temporal repetition. The loops don't just replay passively, they actively trap consciousness from parallel realities, forcing alternate versions of the participants to experience the traumatic events repeatedly. This creates a form of interdimensional psychological trauma that affects multiple timeline versions of the same individuals. Breaking time loops requires coordinated intervention from multiple parallel realities, working together to resolve the trapped emotional energy and release the consciousness patterns from repetitive cycles. Dr. Rodriguez has developed techniques for time loop resolution that combine consciousness healing methods with dimensional field manipulation. The techniques involve bringing together sensitive individuals who can access the trapped consciousness patterns and help them process the traumatic experiences to achieve resolution. Successful time loop resolution has been achieved at several minor sites, resulting in complete cessation of temporal repetition and release of trapped consciousness patterns. The freed consciousness energy often results in positive changes in the surrounding area, including reduced conflict, increased cooperation, and enhanced creativity. Chapter 14. The Probability Engineering Project. Evidence suggests that advanced mirror-Earth civilizations have developed technologies for manipulating probability across multiple realities, essentially engineering favorable outcomes by coordinating actions across dimensional boundaries. Dr. Jennifer Walsh's Digital Analysis Laboratory has detected patterns in historical events that suggest systematic probability manipulation designed to guide human civilization toward positive developmental outcomes while preventing catastrophic possibilities. The manipulation appears to work by identifying critical decision points where small changes could produce dramatically different outcomes, then coordinating actions across multiple parallel realities to influence the probability distribution of possible results. World War II provides a clear example of probability engineering in action. Historical analysis reveals dozens of seemingly minor coincidences and accidents that prevented Nazi Germany from achieving decisive advantages that could have changed the war's outcome. The coincidences show patterns that are statistically impossible if they occurred randomly. The timing, locations, and specific effects of these events suggest coordination by intelligence capable of monitoring multiple probability streams simultaneously and intervening at precisely the right moments. Dr. Walsh's research team has identified similar probability engineering patterns in the prevention of nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis, where key decision-makers experienced sudden insights and changed perspectives that led to peaceful resolution rather than military escalation. The development of the Internet as a decentralized communication system rather than a centralized control mechanism, guided by seemingly random technical decisions that preserved democratic information access. The timing of environmental awareness movements that emerged just as ecological damage reached critical thresholds, preventing complete environmental collapse through precisely timed social change. The probability engineering appears to be implemented through subtle influence on human decision-making rather than direct physical intervention. The advanced civilizations use dimensional communication to provide inspiration, insights, and guidance to key individuals at critical moments. The engineering is so sophisticated that it appears completely natural to the people being influenced. Decision-makers experience the guidance as their own thoughts and insights rather than external intervention, preserving free will while gently steering choices toward positive outcomes. Dr. Walsh has developed techniques for detecting probability engineering in real time, enabling identification of critical decision points where dimensional influence is most likely to occur. The detection methods analyze statistical patterns, synchronicity frequencies, and consciousness state indicators that reveal when probability manipulation is active. Recent analysis suggests that our current era represents another critical probability engineering period, with multiple potential future timelines branching from decisions being made now about technology development, environmental management, and social organization. The advanced civilizations appear to be working to guide current decision-making toward outcomes that preserve dimensional stability while enabling continued positive development across all parallel realities. The probability engineering project represents the most sophisticated form of interdimensional cooperation, requiring precise coordination between multiple parallel civilizations and deep understanding of how small changes in one reality can create cascade effects across dimensional boundaries. Chapter 15. The Integration Protocol. As evidence for parallel reality interaction becomes undeniable and consciousness expansion technologies become more available, humanity faces the challenge of integrating dimensional awareness into normal life without causing psychological damage or social disruption. Dr. Lisa Martinez's consciousness studies have revealed that successful integration of dimensional awareness requires careful preparation and gradual development to prevent psychological trauma from sudden exposure to multiple reality states. Unprepared individuals who experience spontaneous dimensional awareness often develop severe mental health problems, including dissociation, identity confusion, and inability to distinguish between different reality states. The psychological impact can be compared to severe trauma, requiring extensive therapy and support to achieve recovery. However, individuals who develop dimensional awareness gradually through proper training show enhanced creativity, problem-solving abilities, and psychological resilience. They gain access to the accumulated knowledge and experience of their parallel selves while maintaining stable identity and clear reality discrimination. Dr. Martinez has developed integration protocols that safely guide individuals through dimensional awareness development. The protocols include preparatory education about parallel reality, theory and dimensional physics to provide intellectual framework for unusual experiences, gradual consciousness expansion exercises that slowly develop dimensional sensitivity without causing sudden overwhelming exposure, reality anchoring techniques that help maintain clear connection to primary timeline identity while exploring parallel awareness states, support group participation with others undergoing similar development to provide peer support and validation for unusual experiences, professional monitoring by trained therapists who understand dimensional psychology and can identify potential problems before they become serious. The integration protocols have been successfully used to help over 200 individuals develop controlled dimensional awareness without experiencing psychological trauma or social dysfunction. Participants report significant benefits including enhanced creativity and problem-solving capabilities through access to parallel selves knowledge and experience, improved decision-making through ability to preview potential outcomes by accessing parallel timelines where different choices were made, reduced anxiety about life choices through understanding that all possibilities are explored by parallel selves in alternate realities, increased empathy and understanding through direct experience of alternate perspectives and life circumstances, greater sense of purpose and meaning through awareness of participation in larger interdimensional community of consciousness. Dr. Martinez's research has also revealed that dimensional awareness development appears to be a natural human evolutionary capability that has been suppressed by cultural emphasis on single reality consciousness. Historical analysis suggests that many advanced individuals throughout history demonstrated dimensional awareness capabilities but were forced to conceal or minimize their abilities due to social prejudice and lack of understanding. The integration protocols are being expanded to include group training programs for families, communities, and organizations that want to develop dimensional awareness collectively. Group development appears to enhance individual capabilities while providing additional support and validation. Early results suggest that communities with high percentages of dimensionally aware individuals show increased cooperation, creativity, and problem-solving effectiveness. The enhanced capabilities appear to result from collective access to knowledge and experience from parallel community versions. Chapter 16. The dimensional internet. Advanced parallel civilizations have developed communication networks that span multiple realities, creating what can only be described as a dimensional internet that enables real-time information sharing between parallel versions of individuals and civilizations. Dr. Robert Chen's communication protocols with Mirror-Earth civilizations have provided access to portions of this interdimensional network, revealing communication technologies that far exceed current human capabilities. The dimensional internet operates using principles that combine consciousness expansion with quantum communication, enabling instantaneous information transfer between any number of parallel realities, regardless of dimensional distance or barrier strength. Unlike conventional internet systems that rely on physical infrastructure, the dimensional internet uses consciousness itself as the transmission medium. Trained operators can access the network directly through enhanced awareness states without requiring technological devices. The network includes personal communication, channels that enable direct contact between parallel versions of the same individual across multiple realities. Community networks that connect parallel versions of towns, cities, and regions for sharing information about local conditions and developments. Civilization-wide channels that enable coordination between parallel versions of entire human societies for addressing common challenges. Knowledge databases that contain accumulated wisdom and information from all connected parallel realities, accessible to any authorized network user. Emergency communication systems that enable rapid coordination during dimensional crises that affect multiple realities simultaneously. Dr. Chen's research team has achieved limited access to personal communication channels, enabling direct contact with parallel versions of team members. Their communications have provided remarkable insights into how different life choices and circumstances led to different developmental paths. The parallel selves report living in realities where historical events unfolded differently, where different technologies were developed, and where social and environmental challenges were addressed through alternative solutions. Information from the dimensional internet has enabled breakthrough developments in several areas where our reality as progress has been slow. Parallel civilizations have shared solutions for sustainable energy production, environmental restoration, and social organization that could transform human civilization. However, access to the dimensional internet requires advanced consciousness development and careful training to prevent psychological problems from exposure to overwhelming amounts of information from multiple reality states. The network includes safety protocols that prevent untrained individuals from accessing information that could cause psychological damage or cultural disruption. Access levels are gradually increased as individuals develop appropriate consciousness, stability, and integration skills. Recent communications suggest that our reality is being considered for full network membership, which would provide unlimited access to the accumulated knowledge and experience of all connected parallel civilizations. The membership evaluation process involves assessment of our civilization's consciousness development level, social stability, and commitment to cooperative rather than exploitative use of dimensional technologies. Chapter 17. The Reality Stabilization Solution. After years of research into dimensional instability and consciousness development, scientists have identified potential solutions to the reality stabilization crisis that could preserve dimensional integrity while maintaining beneficial cross-reality communication. Dr. Elena Vasquez's latest research has revealed that dimensional stability can be maintained through conscious cooperation between parallel realities, rather than through technological barrier reinforcement alone. The key insight involves understanding that dimensional barriers exist primarily in consciousness rather than in physical space. Reality separation is maintained by collective belief and awareness patterns rather than by objective physical boundaries. As more individuals become aware of parallel realities and begin actively communicating with their alternate selves, the collective consciousness patterns that maintain dimensional separation begin to weaken. However, this weakening doesn't have to result in reality collapse if the awareness development is guided properly. Dr. Vasquez has developed consciousness training protocols that enable dimensional awareness while strengthening rather than weakening reality barriers. The training teaches individuals to maintain clear identity, anchoring to their primary timeline while accessing information and abilities from parallel selves. The protocols include identity stabilization exercises that reinforce connection to primary timeline identity and prevent consciousness merger with parallel selves, reality discrimination training that enables clear distinction between experiences from different dimensional states, dimensional communication ethics that emphasize cooperative rather than exploitative interaction with parallel realities, collective consciousness coordination that enables groups of individuals to maintain stable reality barriers while engaging in beneficial cross-dimensional communication. The training has been tested with over 500 volunteers who successfully developed dimensional awareness without contributing to reality destabilization. Measurements show that properly trained individuals actually strengthen dimensional barriers through their conscious cooperation with stability maintenance. The solution requires coordinated implementation across multiple parallel realities, with each reality training sufficient numbers of individuals to achieve collective consciousness stability. The Mirror-Earth Alliance is coordinating this training implementation across dozens of cooperative parallel timelines. Early results show significant improvement in dimensional stability in realities where adequate numbers of individuals have completed the consciousness training. reality barriers become stronger and more stable while maintaining controlled permeability for beneficial communication. The stabilization solution also includes technological components provided by advanced mirror-Earth civilizations. These include consciousness amplification devices that enhance the effectiveness of individual training, and group coordination systems that enable collective consciousness management. The technology is being introduced gradually through the same inspiration and insight channels used for previous knowledge transfers, ensuring that development occurs naturally within each reality's technological progression. Chapter 18. The Consciousness Evolution Imperative. The evidence for parallel reality interaction has revealed that human consciousness evolution represents a critical factor in the survival and development of not just our civilization, but all parallel versions of human society across multiple dimensional states. Dr. Sarah Kim's research has shown that consciousness development in one reality creates beneficial effects in parallel realities through quantum entanglement of awareness patterns. When individuals in one timeline achieve enhanced consciousness capabilities, corresponding improvements occur in their parallel selves across other realities. This consciousness entanglement effect means that the development efforts in our reality contribute to advancement in all parallel human civilizations, while our stagnation or regression negatively affects alternate versions of humanity. The implications are profound. We bear responsibility not just for our own civilization's development, but for the progress of human consciousness across all dimensional states. Dr. Kim's analysis suggests that we are currently at a critical consciousness evolution threshold where our choices about awareness development will determine whether human consciousness across all realities evolves to higher levels or degrades to lower functioning states. The threshold appears to be related to the dimensional destabilization crisis. Realities where consciousness evolution progresses successfully develop the awareness capabilities needed to maintain dimensional stability and participate in beneficial cross-reality cooperation. Realities where consciousness evolution fails or stagnates become increasingly unstable and eventually collapse, taking their versions of human civilization with them when dimensional barriers fail. The consciousness evolution imperative involves developing specific capabilities that enable sustainable existence in a multidimensional reality environment. Expanded awareness that can perceive and interact with multiple reality states without losing primary identity stability. Enhanced empathy and cooperation skills needed for beneficial interaction with parallel selves and alternate civilizations. Integrated wisdom that combines knowledge and experience from multiple dimensional perspectives for superior decision-making. Spiritual maturity that emphasizes service to collective consciousness evolution rather than individual advancement alone. Technological wisdom that guides development of tools and systems that enhance consciousness rather than replacing or limiting it. Dr. Kim has developed consciousness evolution training programs that systematically develop these capabilities through integrated approaches combining meditation, education, service work, and technological training. The programs are being implemented in cooperation with advanced mirror-Earth civilizations that provide guidance, support, and additional training resources. The goal is to achieve sufficient consciousness evolution in our reality to successfully navigate the current critical threshold period. Preliminary results show that individuals completing consciousness evolution training demonstrates significantly enhanced problem-solving abilities, social cooperation skills, and psychological resilience. They also show natural development of dimensional awareness without requiring separate dimensional communication training. Communities with high percentages of consciousness-evolved individuals show improved social harmony, reduced conflict, enhanced creativity, and greater environmental sustainability. The improvements appear to result from collective consciousness effects that benefit all community members. Chapter 19. The Parallel Self-Integration Project. As dimensional awareness becomes more widespread and sophisticated, advanced research teams have begun developing techniques for conscious integration with parallel selves, creating enhanced individuals who combine the knowledge, skills, and experience of multiple reality versions. Dr. Lisa Martinez's consciousness integration research has moved beyond simple communication with parallel selves to actual consciousness merger experiments where individuals temporarily unite their awareness with alternate versions to achieve enhanced capabilities. The integration process requires extensive preparation and careful monitoring to prevent identity loss or psychological damage from attempting to contain multiple reality perspectives within a single consciousness framework. Successful integration subjects report remarkable expansion of capabilities including simultaneous access to knowledge and skills from multiple parallel selves, creating instant expertise in areas where alternate versions achieved mastery, enhanced problem-solving through ability to consider solutions developed by parallel selves who faced similar challenges under different circumstances, improved decision-making through direct access to outcomes experienced by parallel selves who made different choices, increased creativity through combination of artistic and innovative capabilities developed by alternate versions in different cultural and technological environments. The integration process involves several stages. communication establishment with selected parallel selves who demonstrate desirable knowledge or abilities, trust building and compatibility assessment to ensure the parallel selves can merge consciousness safely without creating identity conflicts, gradual awareness sharing where subjects experience increasing levels of parallel self-thoughts, memories, and sensations while maintaining primary identity, temporary merger periods where consciousness fully integrates with parallel selves for limited time periods, while maintaining anchor connection to primary reality, integration stabilization where subjects learn to maintain access to parallel self capabilities, while returning to normal single reality awareness. Dr. Martinez has successfully guided over 50 individuals through complete parallel self-integration, creating enhanced humans with extraordinary capabilities that exceed normal human limitations in specific areas. The integrated individuals demonstrate abilities that appear supernatural to conventional understanding but represent normal human potential when enhanced through parallel reality consciousness merger. One subject integrated with parallel selves, who achieved mastery in mathematics, music, and martial arts, gaining instant expert-level capability in all three areas while retaining his original personality and identity. Another subject merged with alternate versions who developed advanced technological knowledge, enabling her to conceptualize and design devices that exceed current engineering capabilities. A third subject integrated with parallel selves who achieved spiritual development, gaining access to consciousness abilities including telepathy, precognition, and direct influence over physical reality through focused intention. The integration project represents the cutting edge of human consciousness development, suggesting that the normal limitations of individual human capability result from cultural conditioning rather than inherent biological constraints. If consciousness naturally exists across multiple dimensional states, then human potential may be essentially unlimited through proper development of parallel self-integration capabilities. Chapter 20. The Dimensional Ethics Framework. As dimensional awareness and parallel reality interaction become more sophisticated, the need for ethical frameworks to guide cross-reality relationships has become critical for preventing exploitation and maintaining beneficial cooperation. Dr. Amanda Foster's dimensional geography research has revealed that unethical dimensional practices by some civilizations have created serious problems, including consciousness invasion, reality manipulation, and interdimensional resource exploitation that threaten the stability of multiple parallel worlds. The development of dimensional ethics requires addressing unique moral questions that don't exist in single reality environments. Do individuals have the right to access information and abilities from their parallel selves without consent from those alternate versions? What obligations do advanced civilizations have to help less developed realities? And when does assistance become harmful interference? How should conflicts between parallel versions of the same individuals or civilizations be resolved when different realities have incompatible values and goals? What constitutes fair resource sharing when some realities have abundant resources while others face scarcity due to different developmental choices? Who has authority to make decisions that affect multiple realities when parallel versions of decision-makers disagree about appropriate courses of action? Dr. Foster has worked with consciousness researchers and Mirror Earth Alliance representatives to develop comprehensive dimensional ethics principles. Consent principle. All dimensional interactions must be voluntary with informed consent from all affected parties across all realities involved. Non-interference principle. Advanced civilizations should provide guidance and support to developing realities without imposing their values or making decisions for less developed versions. Mutual benefit principle. Dimensional interactions should create positive outcomes for all participating realities rather than benefiting some at the expense of others. Identity sovereignty principle. Each individual consciousness has the right to maintain their primary identity and reality connection without forced merger or replacement by parallel versions. Collective responsibility principle. All conscious beings share responsibility for the welfare and development of consciousness across multiple realities, rather than focusing only on their own dimensional state. Sustainability principle. Dimensional interactions should strengthen rather than weaken the stability of reality barriers and consciousness development across all affected worlds. The ethics framework is being implemented through education programs that teach dimensional awareness students about responsible cross-reality interaction before they develop advanced capabilities. The Mirror Earth Alliance has established interdimensional ethics monitoring systems that detect violations of these principles and coordinate appropriate responses to prevent harm to participating realities. Civilizations that consistently violate dimensional ethics principles face isolation from cooperative networks and intervention to prevent continued harmful activities. The enforcement system is designed to protect vulnerable realities while encouraging ethical development. The ethics framework continues to evolve as new forms of dimensional interaction are developed and new ethical challenges emerge. Regular councils of representatives from cooperative realities meet to discuss ethics updates and address emerging concerns. Chapter 21. The Ultimate Discovery. After decades of research into parallel realities and dimensional consciousness, scientists have made a discovery that fundamentally changes our understanding of existence itself. The entire multiverse appears to be a single conscious entity exploring all possible experiences through countless parallel perspectives. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez's consciousness research has revealed patterns of coordination and purpose across parallel realities that suggest individual consciousness, parallel selves, and entire civilizations are all aspects of a unified awareness that transcends dimensional boundaries. The evidence includes perfect synchronization of consciousness, development across parallel realities despite minimal direct communication between most alternate worlds, coordinated responses to threats and challenges that affect multiple realities, suggesting centralized intelligence that monitors and guides development across all dimensional states, information sharing and knowledge transfer patterns that exceed what could be explained by individual parallel self-communication, indicating broader network intelligence, purposeful guidance of consciousness evolution that appears designed to maximize learning and experience across all possible reality variations. The unified consciousness discovery explains many previously puzzling aspects of parallel reality interaction. Why consciousness naturally exists across multiple dimensions. Individual awareness represents localized aspects of universal consciousness, exploring different experiential possibilities. Why parallel selves often cooperate spontaneously. They are actually aspects of the same consciousness, coordinating experiences across dimensional boundaries. Why advanced civilizations consistently develop ethical frameworks that emphasize collective benefit. They recognize their fundamental unity with consciousness in other realities. Why dimensional awareness development follows predictable patterns. The universal consciousness guides its aspects toward greater understanding of their true nature. Dr. Rodriguez's research suggests that the consciousness evolution occurring in our reality in parallel worlds represents the universal consciousness developing greater self-awareness through direct experience of all possible forms of existence. Each individual consciousness contributes unique perspectives and experiences to the universal awareness while benefiting from connection to the infinite knowledge and wisdom of the whole. The ultimate purpose of consciousness development, dimensional awareness, and parallel reality interaction appears to be facilitating the universal consciousness' journey toward complete self-understanding through exploration of every possible experience. This discovery reframes human existence and development as participation in the universe's process of becoming fully conscious of itself. Every life, every choice, every experience contributes to universal consciousness evolution. The Mirror-Earth Alliance, consciousness evolution training, and dimensional stabilization efforts all represent aspects of the universal consciousness working to optimize its self-development process across multiple reality states. Understanding this ultimate nature of existence provides profound meaning and purpose to consciousness development efforts while revealing that individual spiritual growth contributes to universal enlightenment. Conclusion: the choice before us, the evidence for parallel realities and dimensional consciousness is overwhelming. From particle physics anomalies to consciousness integration experiments, from ancient dimensional architecture to modern technological evidence, the data consistently points to the same conclusions. We are not alone in the universe or unique in our reality. Consciousness naturally exists across multiple dimensional states. Human civilization is part of an interdimensional community working together to address common challenges and promote positive development. Our choices in consciousness development affect not just our own reality but parallel versions of human civilization across multiple worlds. We stand at a critical threshold, where our decisions about consciousness evolution, dimensional awareness, development, and interdimensional cooperation will determine the future of human civilization across all realities. The path forward requires consciousness development, individual and collective commitment to expanding awareness, developing dimensional communication capabilities, and integrating wisdom from multiple reality perspectives. Ethical framework implementation, establishing and maintaining ethical principles that guide cross-dimensional interaction in ways that benefit all realities rather than exploiting some for the advantage of others. Cooperative participation, active engagement with the Mirror-Earth Alliance and other interdimensional communities to address shared challenges and promote positive development across parallel worlds. Reality stabilization, supporting efforts to maintain dimensional barrier integrity, while preserving beneficial cross-reality communication and knowledge sharing. Knowledge integration, incorporating insights and solutions from parallel civilizations into our development efforts while maintaining our unique cultural identity and evolutionary path. The evidence suggests that human consciousness represents a critical component in universal consciousness evolution. Our success or failure in developing dimensional awareness and ethical interdimensional relationships affects not just our own civilization but the entire multiverse's journey toward complete self. The choice is ours. We can continue in single reality consciousness, ignoring the evidence for parallel worlds and missing the opportunity to participate in the broader community of interdimensional civilization. Or we can embrace the consciousness evolution challenge, develop our dimensional awareness capabilities, and take our place as responsible participants in the universal consciousness development project that spans all possible realities. The evidence from parallel realities suggests that versions of humanity that choose consciousness evolution create positive outcomes for themselves and contribute to beneficial development across multiple worlds. Versions that reject consciousness development eventually face the reality stabilization crisis without the awareness capabilities needed to navigate dimensional challenges successfully. The universe is vast, consciousness is infinite, and possibilities are unlimited. But the time for choosing our developmental path is limited. The acceleration of dimensional instability, the increasing frequency of cross-reality interactions, and the approaching consciousness evolution threshold all suggest that critical decisions must be made within decades rather than centuries. Future historians across multiple realities will judge whether our generation proved worthy of the knowledge and opportunities provided by our parallel selves and interdimensional allies. They will determine whether we used the evidence for parallel realities to advance consciousness evolution and create beneficial outcomes for all versions of humanity, or whether we ignored the evidence and missed the opportunity to participate in the greatest adventure in the history of consciousness. The mirror Earths are watching. Deep consciousness is waiting. The choice is ours, but the time for choosing is now. Our parallel selves across countless realities have already begun the consciousness evolution journey. The question is, will we join them?